What's up, everybody? Nick Wire back for the 10th inning, here with another episode of This Day in Sports History. In yesterday's episode, we saw Jake Arrieta throw the 14th no-hitter in Cubs history. We do have at least one no-hitter to get into today, and some U.S. National Championships to get into. So if you all enjoy this video, leave a like on it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. This Day in Sports History. And we will start off today in 1881, and the first edition of the U.S. National Championship would officially open up. Then 10 years later in 1891, we have the finale of the U.S. National Championship, when defending champion Oliver Campbell would defeat Clarence Hobart 2-6, 7-5, 7-9, 6-1, 6-2 to win his second of 3 straight U.S. singles titles and 3 Grand Slam single titles. 13 years later, remain at the U.S. National Championship in 1904, and Holcomb Ward would defeat William Clothier 10-8, 6-4, 9-7 to win his lone major singles title. Finally, at the U.S. National Championship in 1905 at the 25th edition, Beals Wright would defeat defending champion Holcomb Ward 6-2, 6-1, 11-9 for his only major singles title. Now we move to 1909, and we have a world record in the marathon when Tore Johansson would run it in 2 hours, 40 minutes, 34.2 seconds, holding this record for 4 years. Over to Major League Baseball in 1915, Chicago Cubs pitcher Jimmy Lavender would no-hit the New York Giants in a 2-0 victory. Lavender on the day, 9 innings pitched, 1 walk allowed, 8 strikeouts in the victory. We have another world record to talk about in 1924. Pavel Nurmi would run the world record 10,000 meter in 30 minutes, 6.2 seconds, one that would be held for 13 years. Our second no-hitter to get into, in 1935, Chicago White Sox pitcher Vern Kennedy would no-hit the Cleveland Indians in a 5-0 victory. Kennedy on the day, 9 innings pitched, 4 walks allowed, 5 strikeouts. We stay in baseball but move to minor league baseball in 1957, and Orioles minor leaguer Steve Dalkowski would strike out 24 batters but issued 18 walks in the same game. At the end of the day, this would cost the team the game. They would lose 9-8. But if you've seen the documentary Fastball, Dalkowski had one of those electric arms, just could not control where he was throwing it. And that's evident by this game. 24 strikeouts, 18 walks. But we move from that over to the Davis Cup in 1959, and Australia would defeat the USA 3-2 to win their 15th of 28 titles. 1 year later in 1960, in the Olympics, the USA would sweep the medals in the shot put, with Bill Nieder winning gold at 19.68 meters, ahead of teammates Perry O'Brien, silver, and Dallas Long, bronze. Now we go to the U.S. Golf Amateur Championship in 1968, and Bruce Fleischer would claim his only victory. Back to the Davis Cup now in 1970, USA would defeat Germany 5-0, clean sweep, winning their 22nd of 32 victories. Now we move up to the 1972 Olympics, and we will start with a world record / Olympic record in the 10,000 meters when Lasse Viren would run it in 27 minutes, 38.4 seconds, a record that would be held for 4 years at the world record stage. Then in gymnastics, Olga Korba of the Soviet Union would win the balance beam and floor exercise gold medals. Over to swimming now, and Mark Spitz of America would wrap up the butterfly double, having already won the 200 meter, winning the 100 meter in 54.27 seconds, a record that would be held for 5 years. We stay with Spitz's journey, and in the 4x200 meter freestyle relay, the American team would set a world record 7 minutes, 35.78 seconds to win the gold, and this record would be held for 1 year. Finally, in those games, in swimming, Gail Neal of Australia would win a world record 400 meter individual medley of 5 minutes, 2.97 seconds, a record that would be held for 1 year. 7 years later in 1979, at the US Open in tennis, in a battle of tennis prodigies, 16-year-old Tracy Austin would defeat 14-year-old Andrea Jagger 6-2, 6-2 in the second round of the US Open. 1 year later, we go back to the U.S. Golf Amateur Championship in 1980, and Hal Sutton would claim his only amateur victory. Go over to boxing now in 1984, and Pinklin Thomas would defeat Tim Witherspoon in 12 rounds to retain the heavyweight title. 1 year later in 1985, In horse racing, Angel Cordero would become only the third jockey at the time to win over $100 million in career earnings. Over to Major League Baseball in 1990, and Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr. would become the first father-son duo to play on the same team. Now, this was not the game they hit back-to-back home runs, but they did hit back-to-back singles in the first inning. Now we go over to college football in 1991, and Houston quarterback Dave Plindler would set the NCAA record at the time, 6 touchdown passes in the second quarter, as Houston would defeat Louisiana Tech 73-3. From college football to the NFL, we go to 1997, and in the Tennessee Oilers game against the Oakland Raiders, the Oilers would win 24-21 in overtime, and Eddie George would end up running for 216 yards on 35 carries and 1 touchdown in the first NFL game in Tennessee. Back to golf now in 2003, and at the Tradition Senior Men's Tournament, Tom Watson at 15 under would win his third of 6 Champions Tour majors, 1 stroke ahead of runners-up Jim Aham and Tom Kite. We end today's video off in 2011 in Major League Baseball, and Craig Kimbrel would set a rookie record with his 41st save when he retired the side in the Braves' 3-1 victory over Washington. Kimbrel would finish the season with 46, still a record, and he would surpass Neftali Faliz's save record, which was actually established in 2010. It's good to talk about Kimbrel doing good, because if you know now, he is not. But there you have it. That's what happened on this day in sports history. If I left anything out, I do apologize, but I'll see everybody tomorrow for Nick Dwyer and the 10th inning. See ya.